Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So the first round of economic news has come out since Trump's inauguration, with CPI being above the forecasted expectations. The market was sent initially tumbling, but has since bounced to pre-news levels. We're going to dive into the charts today to talk about the effects of the economic news on Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market on both the short time frame and high time frame charts. Is this little bounce going to continue? Now, before we dive in, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And join my free Telegram if you're after even more regular updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alrighty, guys, so diving into the video, let's talk about the recent bout of economic data that just came out. So last night at 11:30, for those of us in Australia, we had CPI data come out alongside inflation. Now, this particular release of consumer price index was really important because it was the first release that we've had since Trump's inauguration and also since the introduction of his tariffs, right? They've just very recently come into effect. And the problem with the tariffs was they kind of created a bit of a murky economic landscape in terms of interest rates, right? How much were those tariffs going to affect inflation? And that all kind of depended on what was being taxed and how that price change moved down the consumer chain. So if we take a look at CPI, it did come out higher than forecasted, sitting at 317.6 as opposed to 317.3. And as well, if we take a look at inflation over here, we have once again moved away from the Fed's goal of 2%. We're sitting at 3%, an increase from the prior and forecasted 2.9%. So naturally, that is inherently bearish for risk asset markets. As if we take a look at FedWatch with the next interest rate meeting a month away, we have dropped the probabilities for seeing a rate cut once again. So we've moved from 4%, which was yesterday after Jerome Powell's speech, to 2.5%, and thereby, I guess, decreasing the probabilities and the likelihood of seeing the rate cut down to 4% or 4.25. So that information being bearish was interpreted initially that way by the market. If we take a look at Bitcoin, we saw a correction off this level over here that we've been holding throughout the day. Yes, right down to this liquidity zone over here, right at 93,900. However, following that, we saw quite a recovery from Bitcoin. We shot right back up to retest those pre-news levels at around 98,000. Was this bounce really enough, and what does it really signal for Bitcoin, right? Alongside Total 3 as well, altcoins have actually bounced a lot lately. We've seen a massive RSI shift here on Total 3. Is it really enough? Let's dive into the video today to talk about Bitcoin and Total 3, do an analysis on the short time frame and high time frame, and exactly what we're looking out for. Before we get into the rest of the video, guys, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, BTC, where you can get 15% off all of your trading fees and up to $5,500 in sign-up rewards when you create your free account using the link down in my description box. BTC is an emerging cryptocurrency exchange committed to providing you with a secure, convenient, and highly functional trading and investment platform. Available across all countries as a non-KYC exchange, get global access to over 150 trading pairs with minimal fees on both spot and futures contracts. Join today to get $5,500 in sign-up rewards and get 15% off all of your trading fees by signing up using the link in my bio or by using the code 1GG3 when you create your account. So starting off our analysis on the short time frame, let's talk about what would make this rally enough to signal a continued bullish move that takes us potentially even to a high time frame rally. So on the short time frame charts here, we can see that the recent rally from Bitcoin after the CPI news release has taken us to retest this level of dynamic resistance created by consistent lower highs across the last week to week and a half, right? And as we approach the level of resistance, we are seeing a little bit of strength, right? We're pushing above the trend line just a little bit, but we're also doing that with decreasing momentum on these smaller time frames, right? As we continue to print these higher highs on Bitcoin, the RSI has started to slow down, suggesting potential bullish exhaustion and a reversal from that trend line. Nevertheless, though, the candle close for the hourly chart hasn't happened yet, so potentially we could break out of the structural downtrend. But what we really need to signal a continuation here on the short time frame to flip the narrative here from being bearish, as we're currently in a downtrend, to bullish is to first of all break above this level of resistance created by the prior high here at $98,000. well, sorry, 98,380, right? We need to be able to flip that prior high to a base of support, use that to facilitate a bullish continuation, and that should take us up to the next available level of resistance, and a really crucial level of resistance as well at $100,000. This particular price point at 100K is when things start to potentially look higher time frame bullish. That's where the short time frame narrative starts to carry forward. Now, the reason for that is, first of all, 100K is a psychological level. It's a round number that people typically will look at to take profit at. But also, if we move to the higher time frame charts, which I'll show you in a moment, 100K is a massive level of resistance. If we also take a look at the low created by the recent CPI data as well, it could potentially be read as bullish or leading for a bullish breakout, because essentially if we take a look at the close for the candle, we still retained support here at 94,500. Now that is pretty bullish, right? Because it tells us that, okay, we've had really bearish news, we've gone on to retest a major level of support, and upon seeing a deviation low to test liquidity, grab liquidity on the low side, we've seen a massive rally and potential breakout over here, right? And that is suggestive of a complete reversal on the short time frame. Just reiterating though, we still need to make sure we see those shifts of the horizontal levels on the shorter time frame charts. Zooming out to the daily chart, let's talk about why 100K is such an important level of resistance for us to clear to determine a high time frame bullish trajectory for Bitcoin. So first of all, we know 100K is a psychological level, but it also has confluence with our major structural downtrend over here on the daily time frame, and the one that we've been traveling in for nearly a month now, right? So breaking above $100,000 would not only push us above psychological resistance, but also above this downtrend and potentially flip the narrative on the daily time frame to become bullish as well. Alongside that, we also know that 100K is the top of our daily chart range. This sort of horizontal structure that we've been traveling in for the last, I want to say, 3-ish months. And it wasn't until all the way back in the middle of January, upon flipping 100K as support, that Bitcoin was able to actually push above all these prior levels and into $110,000. It is a bullish trigger level, as we've seen in the past. If we take a look at the RSI on the daily time frame as well, we can see that we haven't seen enough of a shift in momentum to really push these higher time frame charts to being bullish, despite the fact that we've seen a little bit of a bounce since the CPI news release. Now, what we can also see though on the RSI that's really interesting is that throughout all these lows created and these retests of 91K and even $89,000 and subsequent higher lows in the price action, the RSI has started to bottom out. We've seen an exhaustion of selling pressure over here at 41.18 on the RSI oscillator, and that in conjunction with these progressive higher lows on the price action tells us that despite the fact that we haven't seen enough of a bullish shift yet to actually push us into a distinctively bullish narrative on these higher time frame charts, we are starting to see something quite suggestive of a reversal in the future, right? We're seeing a bottom created for Bitcoin. Now, that 41.18 on the oscillator here, this red line, is of course bullish, but it also acts as a bearish trigger. So on the short time frame, if Bitcoin fails to push above our short time frame resistance at $98,000, and very likely in that situation, we move back down to retest $95,000 after falling below the 50 and 200 EMA. If that retest occurs and we continue to see extended bearish price action that pushes us below sell-side liquidity and towards 91,000, we're very likely then on the daily chart to also lose 41.18 on the RSI. And if we do that, that shifts us into a much more aggressively bearish scenario and hints at the potential of losing this base of support, including 89,000 sell-side liquidity, and pushing us into a really high time frame macro bearish case scenario. If we take a look at the MACD as well, we are starting to see a little bit of a warning sign that Bitcoin is on the edge of a cliff. The weekly MACD has moved to bearish. We've flipped those two moving average lines, and in the past, when we were in this massive channel of consolidation over here back in 2024, that shift did signal a high time frame bearish continuation, and we went all the way down to $49,000 before seeing, that reversal. And obviously all that is a quite terrifying thought, but until we lose 41.18, the overarching narrative that we're seeing painted here on this daily time frame chart is that Bitcoin is moving towards a reversal. In fact, we might even be seeing that happening on total 3 as altcoins kind of lead the bounce here after the CPI correction, and we've seen a massive shift in momentum on total 3. So let's go ahead and talk about this and wrap up the Bitcoin analysis. So if we move over to take a look at total 3 and Bitcoin dominance, we can see that altcoins have actually been majorly outperforming Bitcoin over the last couple of days. So much so that we have bounced from a really crucial level of support here at $840 billion and actually flipped RSI on the daily time frame to being positive. Now, RSI is, of course, a leading indicator, and we're still waiting to see confirmation from the price action itself, but it provides I guess, indication or an early signal that altcoins could have actually, alongside Bitcoin, bottomed out and are seeing an actual macro reversal. So to get a bullish continuation here for altcoins, what we need to see done on total 3 is a breakout above this level of resistance here at $950 billion. Now that has confluence as well with our macro downtrend here and the 50 EMA on the daily time frame. If we manage to flip all of those to a base of support, that should in turn facilitate a bullish continuation all the way up to this next level of resistance at $1.1 trillion. Alrighty guys, that is all the analysis that I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram for daily updates as well as crypto and economic news. And if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. And if you are a trader, don't forget to sign up down below to BitUnext to get 15% off all of your trading fees. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.